Hello friends, I am Vitaly Portnikov. In an exclusive interview with the official Russkaya Gazeta newspaper, the Russian Federation Security Council Secretary Nikolay Patrooshev threatened to destroy the United States with a unique weapon now in possession of the Russian military forces. Patrushev's interview highlights who Russia views as its primary enemy, and surprisingly, Ukraine is barely mentioned. Patrushev refers to Ukraine as a military camp created by the US to destroy Russia and China. However, Nikolay Patrooshev is convinced that the United States will inevitably lose in this struggle. He is confident that the US will crumble and disappear from the world stage. Patrushev emphasizes that Russia has helped the US to survive twice before, during the War of Independence and the Civil War. But Russia will not do so again. Patrushev explains that Russia is tired of the United States and no longer wants to save them. The Russian Federation Security Council Secretary predicts the same fate for the European Union. He believes that the European states and peoples do not need it, and it exists only because the US established its hegemony on the European continent. Patrushev believes that the United States should not intervene in Europe for historical reasons. He claims that Europe was in the Russian Empire's sphere of influence in the 19th century, in the Soviet Union's sphere of influence in the 20th century, and in the 21st century, it should be in the Russian Federation's sphere of influence. These are the Russian Federation Security Council Secretary's ambitions. He is sincerely confident that his country should become the full-fledged owner of all of Europe and dictate the lives of the European people. As we can see, those who believe that Putin's and his closest circle's ambitions were to expand the Russian Federation to the borders of the Soviet Union underestimated current Russian leadership. They need the whole of Europe, and as the first step for restoring their sphere of influence on a scale of the 19th century, they want to drive the United States out of the European continent and destroy the European Union. These are hardly news for those who follow Russian politics. We understood that Russia organized migration crises in Europe to collapse the European Union and destabilize European countries. However, until now, none of the Russian officials has spoken about it as openly as Nikolay Patrooshev does. He believes the Russian military should be the key to destroying American capabilities worldwide. He is confident that the United States is jealous of the Russian Federation and China. In Patrushev's view, the US envies the Russian Federation because of its military potential, incredible spirituality, and morality. He also claims that the US envies China because China has already won the economic competition with the West. And Nikolay Patrushev does not expect anything but a defeat for the US and their allies, no matter how hard the United States would fight these two major world powers. When you read this interview with one of the closest associates of Russian President Vladimir Putin, you first laugh. Then you get surprised. Finally, it gets scary. After all, we know Nikolay Patrushev's role in the Russian government. All the wartime information does not get directly to President Vladimir Putin's desk. Generals report to the high officials of the Russian Federal Security Service. After that, the information goes to the office of the Russian Federation Security Council Secretary Nikolay Patrooshev. Patrushev filters this information, and Putin learns about the events from him. Hence, in Russia, the person with the political competence of internet trolls, who believes in conspiracy theories and makes up historical facts, manages the critical information about the war and world politics. Patrushev's answers tell us that this experienced Soviet Secret Service fellow doesn't simply fake history at the obvious to any college student level. Patrushev seems to be a sincere believer in the great historical role of the Russian Federation and its potential to overtake the United States. And even in a bizarre story about the Russian Empire saving the US during the War of Independence, it's incredible, but at the same time, we have to understand the level of people who started the war with the civilized world today. These are not just thieves who acquired wealth by robbing and fooling the irresponsible Russian population. These are people with severe intellectual dysfunctions. I'm not a doctor. Still, it's clear even to me that people like Nikolay Patrooshev must be admitted to a mental health professional. At least when they finally get arrested and interrogated while awaiting a war crimes trial. An insane criminal is incredibly dangerous to the world, much more dangerous than just a regular one. We all understand that today the insane man can launch a nuclear attack and destroy millions of people only because reality does not fit hallucinations in his head. Thank you, friends. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Please also consider subscribing to my social networks and the Patreon channel, which helps me develop these projects. Use the sponsorship function on YouTube. Peace to you.